All right, I think that we are live now. So Aldo, I know you were joining us and I appreciate you checking in. I think we had quite a few signups, so let's see if folks hop on. In the meantime, good afternoon everybody from sunny Panama City, Panama, here in El Cangrejo, working from home obviously. It's been an interesting couple of weeks for everyone, I think, around the world. And that's what today is about, not just about the coronavirus, but really to put things in context with what was going on pre-coronavirus and how this could play out. And at the end of the day, nobody really knows. So I wanted to field some questions that I've gotten leading up to the broadcast. And also, of course, any questions that you guys have, just type it in the chat. I think it'll show up for me somehow. Facebook completely changed around how they do live events, I guess you could call them, or live feeds. So appreciate you guys bearing with us. Anyway, without further ado, I do have some questions that I've gotten over the last week or two. Appreciate all you guys checking in from all over the world. If you want to put in a little chat where you're watching from, it's always interesting to know. But we have gotten quite a few questions. So the first question I've gotten was, how can you be proactive in this market? What can you do to get ahead of it? And I think everybody's asking themselves that for every type of asset class and in every country in the world, because at the end of the day, in these kind of events, there are winners and there are people on the other side of that. Going into this, the Panama real estate market in the city was soft and has been soft for the last, say, year and a half to 2 years. Developers are sitting on unsold inventory. Some sellers have, for example, their properties on the market for 6 months, 12 months. And presumably, most properties are not going to be getting shown right now. So there's going to be some stress when we come out of this. I've been watching the U.S. markets, specifically the real estate market, and lenders' reaction to this. And big guys, big banks, both in Panama and outside of Panama, have stepped up and started offering some amnesty in terms of mortgage payments getting paid. The Panama government, we can segue into that right now, just to give everyone an update on what's happening in Panama. And then get back to an investor positioning himself to come out ahead of this. To put things in context, so we have right around 4.2 million people, probably be around 4.5 in the next census, which is supposed to happen this year. And Panama has been very, very proactive. Schools have been closed for the last week and a half. Last night, they just announced that there are no incoming flights or outgoing flights to Panama for the next month, starting on Sunday. What else have they done? Curfew just started 2 nights ago. So no curfew or no people on the street from 9 p.m. until 5 a.m. A lot of businesses have been closed, and Panama is being extremely proactive. In fact, they've gotten some props, some kudos from the World Health Organization as a leader to follow in Latin America. So 3 weeks ago, the government allocated a lot of money to get ahead of this. They started checking temperatures of people coming into the airports about a week ago. Hotels are starting to close or at least shut down. All public gatherings of more than 10 are not allowed. They closed parks last week. They closed public beaches. So at the end of the day, Panama is being very proactive. And I think that could come out to help us. What else can I tell you? So in terms of an investor being proactive, yeah, you got to take into context what's been going on over the last, say, month before this happened, and then see how things play out. I think there are going to be some developers that are having challenges. I think that the banks have already also granted amnesty on mortgage payments. They had a big list of banks this morning. So you're not going to have a whole lot of mortgages going under, at least on the high end, because a lot of people don't have mortgages here on the high end. On the lower end, as people start to lose their jobs, obviously there's going to be an issue. Nobody knows how that's going to play out. Leading up, all we can do is look at the last month and then keep an eye on indicators. Unemployment being one, how long this lasts, and restaurants, etc., being closed, people's ability to pay their rent. We've got a few big family office clients that we're having conversations with, offering some rental amnesty. We've already stopped charging late payments on the rents because at the end of the day, how businesses react to this is what people are going to remember once the storm clears. And fortunately, this is not a systemic, well, yeah, it might end up being a systemic problem. Let's see how long it lasts. Anyway, I'm not here to make predictions. I'm here to answer questions. So, yeah, we answered the question. That was Gary in South Dakota about an investor being proactive in this market. Panama's reaction to the coronavirus and how it's working out so far. I think I addressed that. Where is the government investing and how can a smart investor get in front of that? So, you know, the government has been looking at quite a few different projects to address this. But again, since nobody knows how this is going to play out, I think it's important to look at what the government was doing, say, a month ago, 2 months ago, or starting at the beginning of this year. And all of the major infrastructure projects should still continue. So that's a big deal. That's going to open up areas outside of the city in La Chorrera, for example. The mass transit projects that are already in place have already broken ground. Funding is already happening, so that's not likely to dry up. And that means that areas in the interior are definitely, I think, sort of a path of progress play. And, you know, talking to some of my salesmen, all of my salesmen this last week, we found out that, of course, people have canceled. But we've also been getting some interest from people who are starting to think, okay, maybe I don't want to live in a city after this. Maybe I would rather live in a small beach town like Pedesi or a mountain community like El Valle, or even out at the beach in Coronado, Buenaventura, etc., where population is not nearly as dense, where, you know, this type of thing just doesn't really play out to the extreme effect that it does in the city. So, yeah. Let's see. I can't see people's questions if they've asked any. But, yeah, feel free to ask questions. Chris, thank you. Which neighborhoods performed well after the 2008 financial crisis? Good point. I mean, Panama has definitely been through this in terms of other markets kind of drying up. And I would say that areas like Avenida Balboa, Punta Pacifica, sort of our downtown core areas that are more focused on corporate rentals and expats, did well. Of course, we've seen a correction over the last, say, 12 years, but it was a big run up until about 2012. And then things started softening up, came down in about, we'll call it down to about 2015, and it's been flat since then. So let's see how things play out. Steve, May 25th. Yeah, I mean, they've canceled for a month. So I think it's April 22nd to May 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. Requirements after you arrive, they haven't announced any new requirements. They were taking people's temperatures when they came in. You might want to put things on hold. I think that it's so touch and go right now. I mean, I'm trying to only check the news a couple times a day. Otherwise, you'll go crazy. But I do get notifications for sort of late-breaking things from the local news, namely La Prensa and Capital Financiero. Also staying up to date on Twitter through advisories from MINSA and the presidency. So, yeah, Steve, hopefully that answers your question there. Chris, some areas that didn't do very well after the financial crisis of 2008 were Costa del Este and Santa Maria. We've had a lot of oversupply in the luxury market because, unfortunately, a lot of these developers sort of built cookie-cutter luxury projects. Now, they're all beautiful, you know. I mean, you got swimming pools, gyms, incredible views, nice lobbies, marble, granite everywhere, etc. But at the end of the day, if you have more sellers than you do buyers, prices are going to come down. So I think that in terms of getting positioned, my answer would have still been the same a month ago, which is luxury is beat up. So if somebody's asking, say, $3,000 a meter, why not offer $2,000 a square meter and test the waters? again, that's in an area like Santa Maria, Costa del Este, maybe high-end Punta Pacifica, areas like Pedesí. You know, I mean, we're seeing around 85 to 90% closing price versus asking price. There's still enough business out there. The supply is still constricted. It's a small market. So, you know, I think, again, small towns could really get repositioned, and Panama could come out of this ahead. I mean, imagine if the U.S. just, anyway, I'm not going to get into speculation because there's a lot smarter people on the call who are following global trends. I'm just full Panama and paying attention, although it's obviously in the context of tourism. So how could coronavirus affect tourism? Well, yeah, I mean, we're already seeing it, right? Funny enough, we've got an Airbnb that we manage that is now full. There are people here that do not want to stay in hotels. Not to mention there are quite a few hotels that are closed. There are people here that now cannot get back into their home countries because of travel bans and are forced to consider alternative lodging. And they don't want to stay in hotels. So funny enough, the Airbnb market, in a micro sense, literally like the one piece of data that I have to follow is my personal Airbnb, which is, you know, within a condo hotel regime, is 100% occupancy, thank God. And I think that that's, again, because people are looking at alternatives. And who knows? I mean, this is going to be so radical. I think if Airbnb somehow becomes legal, completely legal in the city, regardless of the regime of the specific building, that could be a game changer for the real estate market. That could open up a lot of interesting inventory where, you know, you've got a property that for a 12-month lease, you were only able to lease for, say, $1,000 a month, yet you can easily get, say it's a 3-bedroom in El Cangrejo, you can easily get competing against a hotel for $90 a night or $70 a night. 3 bedrooms, you could probably get $80 a night, and you could probably keep it occupied, say 20, 25, even 20 nights a month. That's $1,600 off the top, less AC, less Airbnb, less internet. You're still coming out ahead, say $200-300 a month, which adds up on $1,000. That's, you know, 20-30% more than what you were making. So anyway, that's going to be really interesting as legislation starts playing out for sort of reactionary what the banks are doing. Another question we got is, how are banks going to be affected? I mean, the nice thing is, for the same reason that we weren't as affected in 2008, banks here are very conservative. They require 30 to 40% down. Rates are super high. We're still at like 6% for the mortgage rates. So there's still a level in there for banks. Cash balances are high enough. Clients are not over leveraged where they're going to walk away from their property because they only owe, you know, like whatever, they only put down 5%, so they don't have much skin in the game. Completely different from the U.S. I mean, the hope here, guys, obviously, what everybody's thinking is this too will pass. I think it'll be really interesting to go back over some of these thoughts and predictions, say, in a month or 2 months when we'll have a lot more clarity. But I think the underlying message is try to pay attention to what was going on leading up to this. Stay informed. The challenge with Panama is you don't have access to a whole lot of great information, although, again, kudos to Panama. They've been very transparent. They invented the ROSA, sort of AI WhatsApp medical assessment questionnaire, and they've been very proactive on that. So they've also been very transparent on statistics. I think we've got, golly, I haven't checked this morning, but yesterday was about 100 confirmed cases, 1 confirmed death, several confirmed people going through treatment and going back home. So, yeah, let's see. What other questions do we have here? Is this a buyer's or seller's market? I mean, in the city, it's been a seller's market for sure. And I think this is just going to exacerbate things. You've got people with businesses, heavy cash flow businesses, heavy overhead businesses like restaurants, retail, that are going to be suffering, that might have a portfolio of, say, 5 or 6 properties that are going to need to liquidate. And, you know, we've taken measures. We've shot a lot of videos. We're doing virtual tours for some of our properties. In some cases, our agents are able to go to, I'm only coughing because I've been talking so much. I'm feeling okay, thank God. We've been, we've been doing some virtual showings for clients where we go in with a video and shoot them. At the end of the day, there's still people that have to buy, sell, and rent. So I would say the real estate market is not going to dry up per se, but it's definitely going to be slow for the next month. We're still over here grinding. I mean, everybody from the company is working hard, and we've got some people on this session. So clearly, there's still people that are interested about what's going to happen. Let's see, what other questions can I ask? I don't see a whole lot of other questions in the chat here. If anybody wants to, chime in, we've been on for a little bit. So yeah, I mean, really, that's kind of what I wanted to share in a nutshell of what's going on. Let's see if anybody has any questions via WhatsApp. No. So, I mean, shoot, without just rambling on, I want to wish everybody good luck. Stay safe. Let's, what's the word? Compress the curve. Keep the curve down. Try not to get out and touch too much. God bless, and we'll be checking in later. Take care, everybody. Ciao.